Alright boys, we are finally less than 5 days away from the Pokemon World Championships for 2023. So I put up the results for 3 of the biggest tours that happened over the last weekend, and I also have some stats from VGC Data that we will go over. Alright guys, I quickly just want to throw in a disclaimer here. Obviously, a lot of the top players right now aren't playing in tours. No one wants to get, what happened to Wolfie at NIIC, if you know what I mean. No one wants their team sniped and stolen the week of Worlds. That would be absolutely atrocious. But regardless, I still do think it is important to have a look at some of the top performing teams, because regardless, if their top players are or aren't playing, to win some of these tours where you've got, close to 100 players is still pretty impressive. But the first tour here I'm going to look at here is the Hemi Burns Gilizzy Tour. Now, this is a tour that I believe had, does it tell us how many players it had? Yeah, it had 100 players, right? Pretty solid, decent shot, especially, a week before Worlds. As I mentioned, a lot of people right now aren't playing. A lot of people are just trying to, lay low and just make sure they, they don't get scattered too hard. But we do see Lorsy loves you winning the tour. Now, Lorsy is a great dude. I follow him on Twitter. He's a fantastic guy. Very nice, very good for the community. So it is great to see him win a tour. And it's even better to see him win with my guy Chiyu. Anyone who's been around the channel for a while now knows I'm a big Chiyu fan. And just to see it win a, 100-player tour, man, it's pretty impressive. I absolutely love it. I will quickly pull up his team here. And as we see, a very, very interesting techie he does have here is the Gyarados. Now, Gyarados is obviously a mon that was very, very, prevalent in Regulation C. It's kind of dropped off a bit, which honestly I was a bit surprised by. If you have a look at the meta, at first with Torn and, like Regieleki coming into the meta, I could see why, Gyarados was kind of dropping off. But right now, Regieleki is nowhere to be seen, and Thundurus is, it's not, like, it's good, but I don't think its usage is going to be, higher than 20-30%. So I definitely, it's good to see, Gyarados on the rise again. I think it's a really good mon. It's definitely one of the better taunt users. Obviously, it has access to things like, Thunder Wave plus Waterfall and Iron Head as well. Paraflinch is a real thing. It's a really good taunt user. Just overall a great mon. It doesn't necessarily need Terra, but it can use it. In this case, he's got Terra Steel, which I think is fantastic into Flutter mains. Yeah, so overall, just a really good mon and a pretty interesting team nonetheless. I think Tornadus with Focus Sash has really been picking up a lot lately with the, the double speed control in Tailwind plus Icy Wind. I do think this is a really, really good set, especially with Protect, right? Having the Protect, make sure you don't get faked out is pretty cool. But yeah, having, Bleak Wind, Tailwind, and Icy Wind is like really, really cool. I love the, the idea of having like double speed control paired up with Flutterfish. I think that's incredible. Obviously here too, he's got the Iron Hands, very, very standard set there. Don't need to really go into it. Also, look, I want to say a pretty standard Chiyu set here, but he's not running Dark Pulse, which is really, really interesting. Terra Grass too, which I personally love. I do think Terra Water is a bit overrated. I think Grass is incredibly good. Just obviously it helps patch up, that ground weakness. Again, pretty standard Amoonguss here. He's got the Leaf Storm too, which is picking up a lot, which is kind of funny because I was playing a lot of Leaf Storm Amoonguss early in the series. I did kind of drop it towards the end just because I think having, making sure it's an answer to Dozo is pretty important. But yeah, having Leaf Storm there with Terra Dark, really cool. Obviously, Terra Dark stops the pranks, the taunts coming out. Specs Fluttermane, very standard. They do have the Side Shock there, which I do think is really, really interesting, but nonetheless, still really, really cool. And then obviously the Gyarados. So a really, really cool team there by Lorsy. I need to go back. Okay, I thought I opened a separate tab. But yeah, really, really cool team. Pretty standard. But yeah, really nice to see the Gyarados here. I won't go like super in depth here with a lot of the other teams, but we'll quickly just, talk about them, just quickly mention what they've got here. Obviously, Urshi Rapid, again, one of the best ones in the game. No surprise seeing it here in the top 2. Goldango, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, a really, really good mon. Absolutely fantastic. I do think it had kind of a rough matchup into Lorsy, which is, kind of sad. Because obviously, it's really good into the Flutter mains, but when you have a look at, Lorsy's team, there's a lot of mons that can really kind of just tank hits from it and deal with it. The third place team here, though, is really, really interesting. WoChen and Sylveon. Now, I actually played against a team very similar to this on ladder last night, I think, in my last recording. Was it last? Oh, no, maybe it was a couple days ago. I don't know. I played against a team like this recently where they had Sylveon plus WoChen, which to me is really, really interesting, especially when you look at this team. You got Sneasler. I'd be curious to see what the item on this is. I'd have a feeling it'd be Focus Sash. Is it Sash? I forgot I could check it. No, it's Citrus Berry. Okay, very interesting. But Fake Out and Faint, really cool. CC Diaclaw, really good. Honestly, I think Sneasler's like really, really underrated right now. Rocky Helmet Basculegion is also like super cool. Goggles Pelip is nice, but Lando too. I do think Lando Eye is a really, really slept on one at the minute. I'm surprised we don't see it more on these rain teams. Just because I think Lando is just like really, really good. The Terra Steel also is a really nice adaptation, especially on rain. Normally I play Terra Water, but Terra Steel is actually probably a bit better. That's really cool actually. I do really like that. But yeah, Spec Sylveon, really cool. WoChen as well. I think WoChen's another one that's really, really slept on right now. I think foul play into the format is like incredible. And as long as you know, have ways to deal with, the opposing Flutter Mains, which this team does, if you get up the Tailwind or, you got things like Basket Legion, Sylveon can eat hits from it too. Like you can, you get rid of the Flutter Main, all of a sudden the Wo-Chien is incredible, especially in rain too, because then a lot of, the other threats like the Heatrans and the Chiyus of the world don't really do that much damage to it either. So really, really cool team there coming in third. But really, you look at it, pretty standard hyper offensive team here. Another relatively standard team. Obviously, we see the Talonflame here. I have kind of touched on it recently too. I do think Talonflame is a little slept on right now, just because like what Talonflame has over the Genies is it has the faster Tailwind, right? So you don't have to worry about the taunt, matchups. Because like I'm not gonna lie, on Showdown in particular, I like running my max speed Tornadus, and there's nothing worse than when I turn one click Tailwind, and then I just get taunted before my Tailwind goes off. And it's like, damn, I just lost a speed tie to a guy who taunted me. And if it was the other way around, then all of a sudden it's just GG, right? And losing those 50-50 sucks. So I think Talonflame is really, really sneaky for that reason. And I would not be surprised if at the World Championships we do see a bit more Talonflame. As we go down here, though, another pretty standard Tornadus balance team. This is really, really good core here. I love the fake out plus double fake out plus intimidate. I'm guessing it's double fake out, right? Let me quickly just double check that before I'm talking to my ass. Yeah, double fake out. I think double fake out's fantastic. I ran it in a tournament, earlier on, so it is good to see other people running it too. I'm not crazy. We do see Pengi here running the Mouse Ape, which again, really cool to see Mouse Ape still, around. I do think the Ape in particular is really, really good into the Chien Pao D-Knight stuff. So I think Ape is like fantastic for that. So I do expect to see it a bit more at Worlds. I'm honestly surprised it's like this underused. This is a pretty good like Trick Room team here as well. Because I'm guessing this is Dark Shifu, right? What's the item on it? Yeah, Black Glasses. So like you have these like really like 3 offensive mons, and like two in particular, like D-Knight and Urshi can both run under Trick Room. And then you just have like this set here, right? You got like the Trick Room. You have these 2 mons that like absolutely abuse Trick Room. And I do think Hands, like I've said it before, I'll say it again, Hands is busted, boys. If you're not using Iron Hands, use Iron Hands. That shit's crazy. But yeah, looks a lot more pretty standard teams here. I don't want to go super in depth on too many of them. This is a really cool screens team actually. Dude, another Moltres enjoyer. I actually ran Moltres earlier on in the format. Really cool to see the Terra Poison coming out on this though. That's nice. Scarf Shifu. Ooh, Scarf Shifu AV Lando is actually kind of cool. Meadow Plate? Wow. Okay. No Grassy Seed. Go in the Meadow Plate. I do like that. But then yeah, Screens Gold Ango. It's really cool. I would like to see like maybe a Moongus on this team in the Rillaboom slot, but maybe like the offense behind the screens is better. I just don't like having my Golden Go not have redirection when I'm like trying to click Nasty Plot, but I'm also not the best Golden Go player, so that is what it is. Dude, oh my god, Pachirisu made top 16 in an event. Oh boys, look at this. This is the Trick Room team. Yes, sir. Choice Scarf. What? Yeah, that's actually nutty, boys. What's your Choice Scarfing? Like, what are you... Like, it's gotta be... Oh, weak. Boys, it's weak. Mate, he got us. You know what? I respect that. I respect that. I'm sure this thing still functions as a Trick Room, but the Choice Scarf U-turn into Terra Grass, that's kind of cool. Okay, I like that. I like that. Very cheeky, very cheeky. Did I touch on Freezeye's team? I didn't, yeah, but Freezeye here, this is a really cool team too. Really surprised to see the Abomasnow, obviously without the at least like Iron Bundle or like Articuno, but obviously it's a really solid screen setter. I'm guessing that's what he's used it for, right? Yeah, Sash screens, yeah. I think like it's a pretty solid screen setter, especially for like Trick Room, because this one can still pump out damage, right? Like if you get the Snow Up, because obviously, you know, this is your anti-weather as well. If you get the Snow Up, this one can still do a lot of damage, you know, by clicking Blizzards and Grass Knots and, you know, Earth Powers and whatnot. So really cool. We see a Dozo here. That is what it is. A Screens Ape. This team here I think is really cool as well. Having Gastro here to protect your Chiyu is like really, really cool. Seeing a Zapdos in top 16 as well is pretty nice. But yeah, I think that's it for that tour. We'll try to go through these other ones a bit quicker too, because I do feel like I spent a bit of time on that one. How many players here? We got 98. So again, another pretty big tour here. Winning team, Baxcalibur. So I actually did see Neil actually made a video on this one as well. So Baxcalibur is like a really interesting mon, and it's one of those mons where it always finds its way back into the meta, right? Like Baxcalibur is just like always good. Like it's one of those mons where no one plays it at the start, but then you just kind of realize like this is probably like one of the top 2, top 3 ice types in the meta. Actually that's a lie, because I think number 1's obviously Chien Pao, number 2 is probably clearly Iron Bundle. But this could definitely probably be number 3, because outside of those 2, I don't really know what other ice types, at least off the top of my head, are getting played. But yeah, look, this is a pretty cool standard, I don't want to say standard balance team, but it's like these 5 here on balance are like really, really, you know, common. Obviously, you know, you've got the AV Lando common, Specs Flutter common, Mystic Water, you know, Water Shifu's common, Rocky Hell. Yeah, okay, these 5 are like super standard, but the Baxcalibur are really, really cool tech. You do love to see it. Glavis Rush, Article Spear, both just fantastic moves. Like if you can, like if something doesn't resist these 2 moves, you're going down, man. Like it's kind of nutty. It does a lot of damage. Second place, we do see a Dozo team. Now this is a team that was pretty standard I don't want to say standard last meta. It was one of those like teams at the start of Regulation C a lot of people were like super scared of, right? Because you have these like two incredibly like offensive duos in like the Flutterfish and the Power Knight, and their job is basically to break a hole for Dozo or the other combo to like come through and clean up, right? Because again, this is just like full hyper offensive. You do love to see it, at least I do. I love HO. I don't necessarily love seeing Dozo HO though. Stuff that one, man. A rain team with Basque Legion though. Dude, Basque Legion's getting a lot of play at like the top of these events. Like I feel like I saw a couple here, right? Am I crazy? Yeah, one there, two there. Okay, so there's only 2 legions in the top 16, but there was one in the top 4, you know, 2 in the top 10, so that's still pretty cool. But we'll switch back here. You know, obviously this is the Nino tour as well. I don't think I said that, the Nino Pokebros tour. But yeah, again, we see another legion here. Is it the same player? So Pinky? No, different player. Okay, cool. Cool. But yeah, you know, another Rain Basque Legion team here in the top 4 is really, really nice. Again, these teams here, we are seeing like pretty standard teams too, which is like, it's still good, right? You like to see, you know, a bit of balance in the meta. But it does make me like really wonder like what people are, you know, planning to bring into these. That's why I'm so excited for Worlds, because being that this is the first time, you know, we've ever had like a Worlds that hasn't really had any like proper tournaments played before, it's going to be really interesting to see how people, I guess, basically decide to, you know, build their teams to counter some of this stuff, right? And especially when you see a team like this, I love this, you know, the Reggie Drago on Tailwind with the priority block is really cool. I personally do like to see like Indeedee like in this Farafrig slot, just because it gives you redirection plus like priority block. But I do think Farafrig is probably just a better overall mon right now, especially because when you have things like Aquajet on your team, Fake Out on your own team as well. Like you kind of want to make sure that you're not like screwing yourself over. But yeah, this is a really, really cool team. Obviously, I've used a very similar team to this before. I think this is the standard Drago set as well. The Dragon Fang, Terra Steel, you know, same moves as always. Personally, I would like to see people running like something like Terra Steel, Terra Blast on this, just to, you know, make sure you can remove those Flutter Mains. But in saying that, if you're running the Dragon Fang with Protect, it's probably a bit hard to really tech that in. But then in saying that too, you've got the Golden Go to deal with the Flutter Mains anyway, right? So Specs Golden Go, really good. Yeah, really, really solid team here. I do like this. Like, once again, we see this Focus Sash Taunt picking up. A lot of people are starting to play this Taunt build here, so it is cool to see that. Any other cool teams, really? Again, standard teams. Like, a lot of these teams here are just kind of more standard, which is why I'm kind of excited to talk about the last tour here. We do see a Hybrid Trick Room here team here. Again, these Hybrid Trick Rooms are also really cool, because the tough thing with like teams like this, right, is when you look at this, like at first glance, you're probably just like, oh yeah, this is just like, you know, you've got Tailwind for like, you know, balance matchups, if you don't think your Trick Room mode's like good enough. But a really cool thing you have with like teams like this is like, I would not be surprised if the Urshi, actually the Urshi is probably like max speed, but the Golden Go probably isn't. Like if I had to guess, the Golden Go is probably like 108, because then in like balance matchups, you can like put it under Trick Room and it still does work. And I also wouldn't be surprised if this Ursaluna's fast. I played a fast Ursaluna team a couple days ago now, and I honestly think like max speed Ursaluna is like really, really underrated right now. Just the ability to like get a Tailwind up, especially when you're pairing with Icy Wind. Like once again, by the way, we see this Icy Wind like Protect. No Sash on this set, but obviously Citrus Berry is still pretty good. But yeah, like if you go like Tailwind plus Icy Wind, all of a sudden Ursaluna with like max speed really starts out speeding things. And once again, Armarouge and Indeedee, I do think they're going to keep picking up, because I do think the Dark types are on the decline at the minute. So yeah, still a really good team. Obviously went 8-1 for the event, I think it was. Yeah, went 8. Wow, finished 9th with 8-1. That's crazy. I wonder what happened there. I'm guessing they were 8-0 and just got bounced in the first round. But yeah, really cool to see that. Corviknight Screens, that's a really interesting team. I'm gonna have a quick look at this one. Corv Screens. So he's got Scarf Shifu, that's good. Is he bulk? Yeah, bulk up. I was gonna say I think he'd be bulk up. Flying Steel is just such a good typing, right? With Citrus Berry plus Roost, like this mod doesn't need Protect. You just click your moves, right? Really, really cool. I do like Screens. I do think Screens is a bit underrated, but I think heading into Worlds, Screens is scary, just because like if you're playing like 13 rounds of Swiss or whatever like people are predicting, that's like, you know, all it takes is 2 crits and your whole series is like your whole run's over, right? So that is, you know, one of the scary things about running Screens, at least in such a long drawn out event. A really cool not hyper offensive, but like probably balanced offense team here. I'm guessing this is Tailwind on the Torn, right? Oh, sorry, on the Zap. Yeah, Tailwind on the Zap. I really like this team. I do think Iron Bundle is super underrated as like a second speed control mon. Hisui and Arcanine obviously too is fantastic. These 3 here are just like super standard. It is nice to see Zapdos though getting some play. This is a cool team. I really love these Sneasler teams. Like I'm such a huge fan of Sneasler that it kind of pains me that it doesn't see more play. And I'm also a huge fan of Thundy too. I do love Thundy, so that is another mod I love to just see on some of these teams. But this is really cool. You've got the Thunder to self-set up your Enamorus, which I do think is fantastic. I love setting up my Enamorus. I think Enamorus is like one of the funnest Pokemon to play once you get it set up. So yeah, it's really cool to see that. And then another cool thing here too is actually the double terrain. So obviously Sneasler here is intended to pair up with the Indeedee. I do think Indeedee plus Sneasler is like a really, really good combo. Because obviously, you know, redirection plus like, you know, a strong attacker just firing off Dire Claws is always nice. But having double terrain is really good too. And they've also got Farafrig, dude. This team's actually kind of wild. I'm not going to lie. Dude, like double priority block. I kind of feel like this team lacks damage is the only issue here. Like, I really think Enamorus and Sneasler are like really relied on to put out damage here. But in saying that, Rillaboom, Thunder can both put out a bit of damage too. And so can Farafrig. Like, I guess it has ways to deal damage. I just kind of worry about this team's ability to, you know, end games. But anything else? Nah, I mean, these are all kind of like standard. This team here is kind of like my bread and butter, right? It's like the Iron Flutterfish, as I like to call it. I absolutely love that trio. I think it's fantastic. He's got the Specs Fluttermane, Booster Bundle. AV Chiyu is actually kind of wild, I'm not going to lie. It does make it incredibly bulky on the special end, but I think this one's already so specially bulky, and its HP and defensive stats defense that are kind of lacking. So that's definitely interesting to see the AV, but I mean, I could definitely see it putting in work in, you know, the mirror matchups. But I do love to see the Torn. I've said it before. I love Torn. Double weather actually is really cool as well. Obviously you can set up the rain for your Landorus. You can set up the sun for Chiyu and Thundurus. So yeah, that is really cool. Also, you know, Amoonguss likes to play in rain too. So I could see a mode where it's like these three play in rain together with like one of these two. And then it's probably just like hyper offense with these four in sun. So that is pretty cool. But yeah, look, that's it for this tour. Nothing too crazy in this tour. So yeah, like look, overall decent tour. Obviously it's a Nino tour. A lot of people show up for them. But yeah, kind of cool teams. It's great to see Baxcalibur winning though. That's the main thing I got out of that one. And then finally, this is the last tour we're going to take a look at. And this one is kind of interesting. So this is the Wide League Tour. And we see the Sunroom winning this event. Now, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Sunroom just because I think Armor is... I think Psy Spam can be kind of cheap, right? I hate, like, there's nothing worse than, you know, he just clicks Expanding Force. Neither of your Mons are weak to it, but he KOs both of them anyway. And it's really sad. And then you do see things like Hat, Ursaluna as well, which is again just like another fantastic core. I shouldn't say it's a fantastic core. Those two together aren't like anything, you know, crazy, but it's a good Trick Room setup paired up with you know, the Ursaluna, who is a fantastic Trick Room sweeper. But then you just got the Sunroom, or like the, you know, the Lily Cull like mode of the team. And again, this is like going back to what I was saying before, like, to me, it really feels like to beat this team, you need Chiyu, right? You need a Dark type that also doesn't care about Eruption. And there's just not many. Like, Roaring Moon's really good at it, but Roaring Moon's not that great, which is kind of funny because Roaring Moon did get second in this tour. But yeah, like, there's nothing worse than you lead something that beats Psy Spam, and then you just get after you Eruptioned or just Sleep Powder spammed. Potentially, like, if you lead your T-Tar, you know, you're just getting, like, close combated or Solar Bladed. Look, this team, it's really good. On paper, I think it's fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of hard Trick Room, and obviously this isn't hard Trick Room because you got Lily, but it does feel, you know, pretty hard Trick Room. But it is, look, it's really cool again to see just another archetype win it, right? Because if you have a look at these events, right, the first one won by Lawsy was kind of like a hyper offensive balance team, kind of. Then another, you know, pretty like offensive balance. And then you just see like a Psy Spam Trick Room with like Sunroom as well, which is pretty cool. We did kind of touch on it before, though. Roaring Moon getting second place at this event. Like, it is actually crazy to me that this team lost to Psy Spam when they have Chiyu and Roaring Moon, who are like the two best answers to Psy Spam, in my opinion, or at least two of the best. Obviously, I think having, you know, a way to reset your own terrain is really good as well. Obviously, I think if like Rillaboom was in that Amoonguss slot, this is probably a different series. But yeah, look, again, really, really cool. You know, having things like Roaring Moon, having the Chiyu, like, it's just two of my favorite mons. Like, these are my two favorite mons introduced in Generation 9, so it's really cool to see him. Iron Hands, Fluttermane, like, not a super standard team. Like, another Gyarados in top 2 as well is really, really cool. But yeah, really nice team there. I do like that. Specs Chiyu, Booster Moon. Is that your... Oh, actually, that's not even his... Okay, wow, so they're actually not even running Tailwind here. So it's just like DD and like, I guess, just redirection. But look, still a really cool team. I like it. Some more standard, dude. Another Sunroom team in top 4? 2 Sunrooms in top 4. Is it the exact same? Specs. Was it Specs here? I wonder if these two team built together. Yeah, dude, I wonder if they actually built those teams together. Because they, like, I'm not going to, like, go super in depth and, like, looking at them and making sure it's all the same. But they look very, very, Oh, no, Mind Plate there. I think this one was Twisted Spoons, right? Yeah, Twisted Spoons. And this one's Psychic C2. Okay, so they're not the exact same, but yeah, very, very, cool to see Fire Spam doing good at 2 events. A Mimi in the top 8 is cool as well. I actually think we featured this team here on the channel a few days ago. Another Luna, another Sneasler too. Sneasler's still getting placements, boys. Watch out for that at Worlds. It's nice to see a horse in the top 16 here as well. I think we saw one earlier that I kind of failed to mention. Another Mimi in the top 8 here. Sorry, top 16 as well, which is really nice. Deagle Beagle in here with a Dozo. I think he actually, was he in this tour as well with the Dozo? Am I going crazy? I swear I saw Deagle with a Dozo somewhere. Nah, right. Wrong. But yeah, look, some cool teams overall. Seeing a King Gambit here too and a Meowscarada, I just noticed that. Dude, King Gambit I think is actually insane right now. I'm surprised not more people are playing it. I guess it is kind of a Terra Hog into the Urshis though, which is probably its biggest weakness, right? As you don't want to take a fighting move on this one. But yeah, that's basically the tours done, boys. At least like, just reviewing some of the top teams here. But finally, we'll take a look at the usage stats here. Now, if you guys don't follow, VGC Data, go follow them. They have fantastic stats for, just VGC in general. Unfortunately, you guys can't see the whole screen here just because I have zoomed in a bit, so you can't, you don't see all my extras on the desktop and whatnot. But this is the, what's it say? 84 top teams from the 5 biggest Limitless tours over the past week at minimum 60 players. So basically, this is the usage stats, and I think these are what we can kind of expect going into the World Championship. So, obviously, number 1, Fluttermane. To no one's surprise, Fluttermane is without a doubt the number 1 mod in the meta. A really, really interesting thing here as well, actually, is we are seeing the rise of Terra Fairy again. So, for those who don't know, Terra Water was on the rise because, one, obviously, it helps you resist the Urshi Water, but it's also really good into Golden Go with the Make It Rains and whatnot. It also helps you get the Ice Beam from Chien-Pao, just a fantastic defensive typing. But I do think people are starting to just say, hey, look, Specs Fluttermane, in the sun or just in general with, Terra Fairy is, it's bonkers. If you guys haven't played it, go try it. The mon is nutty. Urshifu here with the Terra Water and Terra Grass. Obviously, Water is just there for damage. Grass is there to help you out with the Amoonguss matchup. Same with the Iron Hands. Iron Hands being number 3 is actually crazy to me. I feel like it was like 2 weeks ago where this mon was like, it was like getting used, but not that much. And I was saying like, hey guys, like this is the anti-meta. And all of a sudden it's the 3rd most played mon in the, the top tours recently. Terra Grass obviously is there for the Amoonguss. Same thing with the Urshi, which is really, really cool to see. Just overall a great defensive typing on it though. It helps out with the, ground weakness as well, which is pretty nice. Lando here basically only sees 2 Terra types. Obviously Terra Water I think is its best defensive typing. And then Terra Flying just helps it actually use that flying stab, which is, yeah, pretty damn nice. But you're seeing that in Amoonguss there as well, tied for 4th place. Probably the 2 of the 3 best support mons in the meta right now. Probably paired up with the 2 mons actually sitting underneath it as well, which is kind of interesting. Shroom though, seeing a lot of Terra Water and Terra Dark. Basically, Terra Water is its best defensive typing for those who don't know. Terra Ghost, interesting. I'm not too sure why. Like, I guess that's there for fake out, but I don't think it's ever worth clicking that. Terra Steel, for those who don't know, it's basically there for the rain teams. Obviously, Terra Steel in rain is like really, really good because it kind of gets rid of that fire weakness. And it's overall just a better defensive typing, has a lot more resists. And then Terra Dark. Terra Dark is there to stop the prankster taunts coming out of the genies. And then speaking of the genies, Tornadus. Tornadus getting 27 placements there. 32% of teams brought Tornadus. I'm not surprised, honestly. Tornadus is, I think, the best form of speed control in the meta right now. Obviously, it is the most reliable Tailwind setter. And yeah, just overall really good. A lot of, unique typings here. Obviously, Terra Ghost is there. I think it's its best Terra. I'm sure we can all agree, it's there to stop fake out. Really, really good. Terra Flying getting 3 picks as well. Interesting. I do think that's kind of on the rise, especially with a lot of these, these Focus Sash plus Protects. Because people, if they're running Protect, they're going to run a bit more offense on the Torn there to allow them to fire up a bit, bit stronger Bleak Wind Storms. Rillaboom, that's again super standard. I'm really curious as to why there's a Dragon Terra on there. I feel like that gives you absolutely no way to beat Chien-Pao. Terra Poison, also kind of interesting. I have seen that on the rise a bit. Poison's cool because you can stop like the earthquake damage with your ability. And then I think you're only weak to Psychic at that point, which is actually kind of cool. Obviously Terra Fire though I think is overall the best Terra type. It gets rid of the fire weakness that you already have and makes it a resist. You don't care about water moves as it is. And it stops you from getting burnt, which is really nice. And the Terra Water, just another really good defensive typing. And I would bet that Terra Grass was probably a mistake if I had to guess. Chien-Pao, I'm actually surprised Chien-Pao is so low in usage. I do think this mod is incredibly good. I'm actually shocked it's not higher. Like if I had to guess, I would have said Chien-Pao was top 3 usage, but I guess maybe it's either falling off or people are just trying to hide their, their secret techs. But look, I'm not going to go into the Terras. Everyone knows that, you know, Ghost is the best, or one of its stabs. Heat Trend, actually, again, another one I'm surprised is as low as it is. Heat Trend here is kind of crazy because it only has one Terra, which is Grass. No one else used anything other than Terra Grass, which is actually, it's kind of crazy because, like, sometimes, you know, people experiment, right? Especially on like Heat Trend, people will use things like Terra Bug, which I do think is, like, you know, one of its better Terra typings. It's probably its second best Terra typing. The only reason Grass is better than Bug is because of Amoonguss. But yeah, enough said there. Chiyu, my guy, it's great to see it rising up. I feel like I made a video like a week ago saying, like, Chiyu's underused. And all of a sudden, it looks like it's like, is it top 10, 6, 8? It is the 10th most used mon right now, tied with Golden Go. So really cool to see Chiyu on the rise once again. I'm excited to see what people do with it at Worlds. Water's, you know, its second best offensive typing in my opinion, only to Grass. And Ghost is there for the hyper offensive teams. I've been running a bit of Ghost recently myself. It is just fantastic into the fake outs of the world. Finally, you know, I feel like I've gone probably a bit too in depth in a lot of these here. Golden Go, Terra Water is its best defensive typing. Obviously, Water is just, you know, one of the two best defensive typings in the game, I think. And Terra Steel is there for offense. The others are there for interesting reasons that I'm not too sure. That's a lie. Flying's there for Earthquake. Yeah, and then Cresselia, another one I'm actually shocked is as low as it is. I think a lot of people are only pairing it with Ursaluna, which I think is wrong. I think Cresselia, but like even by itself, is still really, really good. You know, Terra Fairy's there for the dark types of the world, which is, yeah, really good. Just overall great defensive typing. It's actually the only mod on this list too with Terra Electric as well, which is kind of cool. Terra Electric, because with Levitate it has no weaknesses, but in saying that it also has no resist, so I would much prefer see like Terra Steel. But obviously Terra Steel gives you a weakness to the Urshis, so I'm not surprised. Even Terra Poison could actually, I think Terra Poison's actually probably a lot better on that in hindsight. I don't know why you'd go Electric over Poison, because that gives you like a fighting resist. It gives you very resist and whatnot, so yeah, definitely cool. Ursaluna seeing the Ghost Terra pickup is, you know, pretty normal, I think. Ghost is just fantastic into the current meta. It's also really good into the mirror matchup as well. Urshi Dark, another mod I'm surprised is as low in usage as it is. I do think Urshi Dark is going to be one of the standouts at Worlds, because again, when you look at this, right, if you look at this sheet, look at the most used Terra boys, have a look. Terra Water is the most used. Does it resist water from Urshi? Like Water Urshi? Yep. Does it resist Dark Urshi? No. What about Grass? It resists water, doesn't resist Dark. You know, Ghost doesn't resist, you know, water, but is weak to the dark typing there. And then obviously, you know, you've got the Fairy, which is like, you know, obviously that's where water has the advantage in the fire as well. But, you know, there's not that many Terra types running around right now that resist Dark. And because I do think Dark Urshi will be on the rise, Terra Dark is just fantastic on it, puts out a lot of damage. Poison is also a decent defensive typing. D-Knight, you know, solo carrying the Terra normal here, because I do think that one on the Ursaluna was probably a mistake, or just, you know, someone didn't think they needed the Terra on it. But yeah, no, D-Knight absolutely carrying it. Look, it's good to see D-Knight drop off as well. I'm not a huge fan of playing into Dragonites with Choice Band E-Speed next with Jianbao, I'm not gonna lie. So seeing it drop off is kind of cool. And then the two priority blockers of the format, finally to round out this list. Obviously, you know, both pretty decent. Indeedee there, Terra Water is really cool. I am shocked at the Giraffe using Terra Fire. I want to know why there are 8. Like, I feel like that's not Terra. Don't worry, it's Terra Fairy. I thought that was Terra Fire. I'm an idiot. I was sitting there thinking, like, why the hell do those two have Terra Fire? Don't worry, they're Terra Fairy. Fairy's great. Obviously, gives you a dark resist. That's mainly it, right? If you have a look at some of the top ones in the format, also a fighting resist too, right? Because, you know, you can resist the fighting moves from the Urshi. You can resist the fighting moves coming out of the hands. And then on top of that, you know, you're also not weak to their other stabs. And then, you know, you got the Chian-Pows of the world. You've got the, you know, the Chiyus of the world, the potential Golden Goes, the Dark Urshi. So I can see why two fantastic ones, two of the better Trick Room setters. And yeah, that is that's basically it to round out the stats there. Do they have any other cool stats for us here? I mean, look, they have the best pairings. Yeah, look, I'm not going to go into this. I feel like if I go into this too much, I'll be here all night. But I'm sure if you guys want to take a look, you can. I'll leave a link to their Twitter down below in the description. But yeah, look, go check them out. They have a lot of cool stuff. You know, if you're looking to like build like a good meta team, but you don't know where to start, this place, you know, it gives you a lot of great stats and it kind of tells you what's used with what and whatnot. And, you know, you can kind of go from there and just add your own spice, which is really, really cool. But anyway, guys, I have been rambling on way longer than I thought I was going to for this video. So yeah, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If there's any other stuff you want me to touch on for Worlds as well, please let me know down below. I said that in the last video. You know, if you guys have any ideas, you know, things you want me to make videos on this week, especially in the lead up to the World Championships, because, you know, this is a very exciting week for the VGC community, and I'm sure the TCG community as well. Let me know down below. Yeah, that'll be it for this one, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.